All right, welcome listeners to Through the Sightglass, a podcast that dives deep into the fascinating world of craft beer and celebrates the incredible individuals who shape its vibrant landscape. Join us on a journey where we explore the nuances of this amazing industry and the remarkable people who contribute to its richness and diversity. And today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Pat and Abe of Ilk Beer. Thank you for making time for us, friends.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hello, thank you all.
Oh, hello.
So I know I just introduced you, but can you say again your name and kind of what you do, or your roles here at Ilk Beer?
Yeah, I'm Aubrey, known as Abe Burt, and I started this with Pat originally, and I kind of run the back end of things, do bookkeeping. I'm also kind of a gap filler, if you will, and do a lot of the social media and community outreach, and now help run our pub.
Nice.
Nice.
Many hats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all
Fun.
the hats in the brewery.
Yeah. Many hats in this place.
Everybody's a Swiss Army knife. You have to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been beneficial. Doing this much as straight out the gate or anything like that would be pretty rough. Let's see. My main focus is brewery, of course, making beer, and then building things over there, construction work. Yeah, just keeping things running. We basically built a used brewery.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's rad to do
A
this.
lot of MacGyvering.
Yeah, a lot. There was a lot of old brewery bits laying around that we had to kind of bring together and make function, and now the goal is just to keep it functioning. It's kind of nice because it just tracks where you're at in the world, and it keeps you involved with like what you're doing, but it's also a pain in the ass when you open a restaurant and you have to go like MacGyver the kitchen a bit. You know,
Go from brewery to kitchen.
yeah. I mean, it's not a negative pain in the ass. It's definitely just like, oh, what do I gotta do now? Oh, shit.
You're just expanding
So-
your skills, and
Yeah.
it keeps you humble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, knowing how to do like a lot of shit's important. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of like Abe, maybe the more mechanical side of doing all this stuff. We got two other people we're working with like in a full-time manner, like as far as ownership's concerned and like actual jobs. Rob Boer does our sales, and that's pretty much what he does is our sales. He comes in and he busses and he just like does dishes when he's not doing that.
Gotcha.
And then Christian, I can never say his last name.
His wifeful.
Thank you. He has been doing deliveries and some sales down in Portland specifically, and now he's doing some bartending as well.
Oh, nice.
And so it's been nice to have somebody who can like just do odd jobs as well as like take care of some business when we need it. You know, he'll manage the cold room. You know, just all sorts of things like that. You know,
Just
do
kind
some
of pick up
inventory.
wherever it's needed.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely the most like odd job human in this whole group of like basically that's us four owners. We have a lot of other people we work with like in equal capacity though, as far as the pub is concerned. It's pretty rad.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Good.
Very
I like
cool.
this trio.
Yeah, I love it. So, where do y'all call home? Where did y'all grow up?
I grew up in the peninsula, and actually Austin and I were just chatting about how, like, when I was little, I lived in Purdy, and that's where he grew up.
Yeah.
We
But
just need to make note this is first person from
First
Purdy.
person ever.
Yeah, not just on the
Yeah.
podcast, but I think I've ever
Ever.
talked to him.
Yeah, I've never met a person who lived there ever in my adult life.
Yeah.
And you know, I only lived there till I was like 4. But
Yeah. Still.
I really grew up in Silverdale, and you know, all over there. I moved around a lot in Kitsap.
Gotcha.
And then when I became an adult, kind of moved around, but mostly in Seattle. And then I've been bouncing for the last decade between Seattle, Olympia, Tacoma.
Gotcha.
All generally because of the beer industry
Oh,
and,
gotcha,
and
nice.
life. But yeah, and now I call this home for good because we're here doing this. And my mom and I bought property 2 years ago.
Oh, wonderful.
Up at Summit Lake, which is like 25 minutes from downtown, out on the 108.
Nice.
And getting ready to shuffle ourselves over there because she's going to retire. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you guys, is our houses on the property, or are you guys building?
it's raw land.
Oh,
We're
very
doing
cool.
everything. Yeah, we've got a ecological survey in process, and we're going to have to dig a well for water and bring electricity out and all the whole thing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You built a business, and you're like, now it's time to build a house.
Well,
You
and
know?
in the process of even getting it done, as my mom and I were just like in talking about the long term and what would be best for us and what our whole dreams are. And as she grew up in Olympia, partially, so it's kind of like her coming home in a way,
Oh, very cool.
and resettling here. My grandparents had like 2 farms out here over time, and so it's pretty cool and kismet in some ways. And then, so I bought a trailer earlier
Very
this
nice,
year, and I'm fixing that up so that when it's ready for me to move there, I can move with my trailer first, and then we can do everything else.
You'll have a tiny home basically ready.
Yes.
We'll talk to you when we start, when we buy our trailer. We need to do that.
Yeah, I would love. Oh my gosh, I will nerd out with you really hardcore.
Yeah, we'd love that. I'm currently in the van. Next up is probably a trailer. So
Yeah.
Is it just you and your mom? Any other siblings or family in the area?
I have a younger brother. He's 2.5 years younger. We're thick as thieves. Always have been. And he actually is our graphic designer for the brewery. He created our brand, and he does most of our labels.
Nice.
And he retrofits any other artist's work to our labels when we have guest artists do that. And then he's helping. Slowly but surely, he's only going to do more for us. He's going to be moving down from Bremerton to work for us full time. We get to share an office, which is pretty
That's
rad.
cool.
And he's really excited about it. I mentioned to you earlier, but he said that this is like a graphic designer's dream to do this kind of work. He was like, I get to be so creative, and we basically just let him do what he wants because his work is incredible. And
the marketing and branding is so spot on. We talked about this before, but we'll throw it in. You can spot the Ilk can a mile away. It's pristine. It looks good, and also the product inside is good as well. So it hits all the points of like when people make decisions in 3 to 5 seconds of things they want to buy based on how they look. Yeah, I think you'll always pick up an Ilk beer.
Yeah, all we ever have to tell Jorg is like weirder. Let's go weirder.
Let's go weirder.
Make it weirder, dude.
Your stickers are great too. That sticker that looks
Rob's
like a.
been having fun with
We have
those.
to give that. We have to give that to Rob.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
that's him practicing Photoshop straight up.
That's
He's
awesome.
like, I just want to do it, and then he finds these really hilarious images online. And like, are you guys familiar with those old paintings that like all the animals' faces look like humans?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're just like not animals, and
Yeah.
so he finds all these ones, especially cats, and we've just like gone with the whole weird cat thing, which is
The
hilarious.
reflective face one, I have it on my water
It's
bottle.
on
and it just,
that one.
it's
I
so great.
warmly call that the Pat Squatch.
Yeah, the
Is that
fat
a dog or a cat?
And, with mutton chops, it looks great though.
Sorry, y'all. We're doing visual shit on it.
We'll take some photos.
Yeah, we'll
But
definitely we'll have it on the social.
And just to note, we do have a cat sitting next to us. So
Yeah, it all
Yeah.
fits the
True
theme.
story.
All baby
Yeah.
kitten.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Pat,
Quality
where,
control.
Where do you call hometown? Where'd you grow up?
Oh, I mean, I've been in Olympia for like half my life now, officially, maybe a little more. So this is
Okay.
definitely hometown.
Gotcha.
There ain't nowhere else. As much as I love and also kind of like go, Olympia, really? I've been here for a long time. It's
Nice.
It's pretty all right. Let's see. Born in Roseburg, Oregon. Moved to New Mexico, Los Alamos. My parents, when I was little, little, they got jobs at the lab. Did the whole working at the lab where they build bombs thing.
Oh, dang.
Until about 87 or 88. We moved up to Seattle area at that point in time and kind of spent the rest of my time there until 20 or so. Moved to Portland, lived there for a year or two. Girlfriend moved, and then she decided to go to Evergreen, and so we moved to Olympia. Already had a crap ton of friends here and punk scene and all that. And so,
nice.
Yeah, that was basically it. Like, I think 2001 moved here, so yeah.
Dang.
That's
okay,
the
so you're a
arc of it.
staple. You're
Yeah.
a staple here. Nice.
I always done
that,
a lot of things here.
I always forget that Olympia has just as big as music scene. I feel, especially for punk, as Seattle and like Oakland and like the Bay Area.
Oh yeah, especially throughout time. Like this town goes through like ebbs and flows of like cool shit happening. Usually there's something cool happening no matter what like punk scene or like indie rock scene you might be in. Right now it's just like a really like large explosion of hardcore like teenagers and like little older than teenagers. There's like a bunch of hardcore bands coming on right now, and it's fucking rad.
Nice.
I mean, because I like that.
Yeah. Do you get in the pit and show them how it's done?
But no,
You're like, I still need to work.
I don't need time.
Oh, okay, there you
Busy.
go.
Yeah,
Dang.
I do like going to shows, but yeah, it's definitely like go to show, keep working.
Yeah,
for
very
sure.
true.
Just keep working and then listen to it.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
true.
So did y'all do college? And what was that look like after high school? Like college or going into just the trades or work
Are you
or
not a
anything?
college graduate? No,
I
you
am
are.
a college graduate.
Okay, goddamn. Okay.
It just took me a really long time, like every other evergreener. I
Oh, that's
didn't
good.
go to college right out of school. I did like the whole running start thing in my last 2 years of high school.
Oh yeah. That's where you
Um,
like can take it's like community college classes, but you don't have to
Yeah.
adhere to like the high school schedule.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was a
Rad.
way in my mind of getting away with like not taking the SATs to
Oh,
get
yeah.
into 4-year college.
That's nice.
It's
Yeah.
also it's really smart because it preps you for what real life is like. Like real
Yeah.
college is not like high school.
This is how we get
Yeah.
along, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I did it that way, and then just like as my character lends itself to, I'm not a linear person in any sense of the word, and so like I just bounced around a lot and tried different things in
Oh, yeah.
school a lot, and was trying to find out what my passions were for a while. And I got like my 2-year degree in sociology, and then I ended up transferring from Seattle Central down here to Evergreen, which brought me to Olympia in 2014.
Oh, okay.
And kind of ended up doing a like agricultural science and ecology focus
Very cool.
for
Oh,
my
awesome.
4-year degree. But that 4-year degree took me like 7 years because again, I would like take breaks and because of life and whatnot. And also like once I got down here for the first 8 months, I was actually commuting back up to Seattle every weekend to work at my speakeasy cocktail job.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
ask what
a
kind of jobs you
gnarly
had.
drive.
Yeah.
And I didn't, not a drive. I didn't have a car for 6.5
Oh.
years,
Bus
and
ride?
I only rode bikes and took the bus.
Okay.
And so I was doing that, and I would work like 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and
Wow.
then come back and do school 5 days and then do it again. And but I was making stupid money at that bar, so I was like,
Yeah.
this is the shit because
That
I can
trade-off.
live pretty great down here, living in a punk house in Olympia, and that's what I did. And then I finally actually finished my dual bachelor's degree through Evergreen in 2020 during the pandemic.
Nice.
wow.
Congratulations.
Because I had taken like a 3-year hiatus or something, and like didn't actually need that many credits to finish. It's just like when I took a break, there was just like life shit happening, and I needed a break, so I took it. And then I finished really strong. So
Yeah.
that felt really good. And did a bunch of like field ecology and research, and got around and traveled, and that was awesome. So
Very
studied
cool.
North American deserts and
Wow.
field ecology and wetlands. So
That's
was really
so
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of where like my background lends itself to the model of our business too, which is pretty rad.
Yeah, it's very cool. Love that. Yeah, great story. Like I feel like I took a more very literate,
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Straightforward approach?
straightforward
Straightforward
approach.
approach? Yeah,
Thank you.
there
I
you
can't
go.
say the word.
Lateral?
Yeah. Looking back, I'm like, I wish I would have. And not that I would have. Right now, I wouldn't change anything because I love where I'm
Yeah.
at. But it's like there's so many different things. I'm like, I wish I would have done some more travel early on, or some trade work, or more jobs in
Yeah.
between. But I love where I'm at, so I wouldn't change that. But I love hearing a story like
Yeah.
that.
That's
so
the nice
it's
part about looking behind or looking back is you can go, shit, okay.
Yeah.
But you can always put that in front of you,
Right.
That's the nice thing about it,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Pass this
Yeah.
knowledge on to someone else. And
Yeah.
hopefully
Or
they'll
Or just go do it yourself. Fuck it.
Yeah.
True.
It's never too late to do anything you want.
True.
Yeah.
Very
Honestly,
true.
I mean, that's what we're doing now. Like, we haven't done the traditional route for ourselves, so I think
Yeah.
it has lent in a different way. So,
Yeah.
very cool. Pat, what did you do after high school?
Oh, yeah, I did not go to school, that's for sure. Getting out of high school was great. I had fun there, but it was mostly with teachers or people around me who were more social and just capable of, like, understanding who the fuck you are. Like the relationship-oriented thing.
Yeah.
Got out of school, worked at the post office on and off because it paid good money and you didn't have that many skills, and it was like not carrying a gun, shooting people, and it wasn't running into fiery houses.
But I'm still a federal
Yeah.
worker.
Still a federal worker,
Yeah.
still working for the people. I got out of school just not wanting to do anything that was corporate or like capitalist supportive. I thought about drawing comics for a little while, and it's just like, fuck all that. It's just like, it's all bougie shit. Going to school is bougie shit, so I'm just like, I'm gonna go work for the post office.
Nice.
Make your own lane.
Yeah, still working the job, but at the same time, it's like, it was the most, like, what's the word for it, socialist thing I could do at the time. And I wasn't like hard politic guy, but it was like super easy. Like, I listened to the music and read the books. I kind of believed all that shit, and I still do.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm gonna go do it for real. It's not just like rocking out the pit.
100%.
And so just worked at the post office basically on and off until Fuck, I don't know. I went to school for a minute. At 24, you can go to school on a Pell Grant without your parents' income reflecting. My parents didn't have any money, but it's still, I wanted it to be completely clean. Went to school for a year and a half for organic agriculture, and then dropped out promptly because I could buy a house. So I bought a cheap-ass house in West Olympia. We did a little farm thing for a while, put a lot of punk shows on. It was fucking fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we called it Pat Farm. I didn't name it that.
Pat Farm?
Yeah, but, I bought the house and had all my friends live there. And,
Do you have a favorite show from there that you remember? Who
there were
played?
so many good shows.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We had a band called White Boss. It was what you think it is. It's a hardcore band, a bunch of critiques of people and things. The other band in town was Sex Vid, and I'm sure if y'all are into hardcore, anybody knows that band is gonna know what I'm saying. That was a house band, so any show was fucking rad.
Nice.
But otherwise, Artemis Pyle playing was pretty fun. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What else? I came home from work one day, in my postal uniform, and I had a bunch of friends on the porch. If anybody's heard of the band Crom, it's like an old metal-ish hardcore band from the 90s. Friends of ours ran into one of those guys in a grocery store in fucking Bay Area in Oakland and just started striking up a conversation and realized who the hell it was. And they're just like, oh, you should go on tour, West Coast tour. And so they came up the West Coast and went on tour. These were a bunch of guys who hadn't played in the band for years.
Oh, damn.
They come play our house. It was fucking rad. I've been listening to this for a long time. It's just trashy punk metal. And I get home from work, and I'm pretty sure I had friends of mine on the porch, making napalm, because we wanted to burn some shit in the backyard that night. The dudes
As it happens at a lot of punk shows.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, something has to be lit on fire. There has to be creative destruction.
Yeah, I believe it's gasoline and styrofoam, right?
Yeah.
And the dudes from Crom were in their van doing drugs, lots of drugs. And I'm just like, all right, this is on. All right,
Yeah.
this is going to be a good show. It was a really good show. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that's that side of things.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's see what.
What's
time-
after the post office?
Oh, no, that's what
Yeah.
I was literally getting home from work from the post office.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Let's see. Went to school for that. Did that whole thing. By 2014, I ran into Nate and Sarah, who own 3 Magnets Brewing, and that's kind of how things went into the beer world.
Were you homebrewing before that?
Yeah, I've been homebrewing since probably 2009. I made my first 2 batches of beer in early 2000s, maybe 2003 or 4.
Okay.
We called them Headache and Feel Bad. Those beers were not good, but a year later, I guess they aged out and they were drinkable because we crushed them all at a party.
Oh, that's awesome. That's what I was
Yeah.
going to ask is, at your shows, did you have any of your own, beer that you made?
No, the shows actually. I started making beer after the shows in a real way. My wife at the time, friend to this day, Shannon, and baby mama. Let's just get that out there. She quit smoking at some point, maybe in the mid 2000s, maybe 2007, 8. And I'm like, cool. I guess we're not smoking weed now as much as we used to. We smoked a lot of weed. So I'm like, I'm gonna start making beer and probably start drinking more, which is not good.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, we can get to the growing up, drinking beer thing, but always drank some Rainiers, Tall Boys, and there's always some crap beer around, But I guess I'm gonna start making beer because we were fermenting all sorts of things at the time anyway. This is really early on, ginger beers and things like that, and kombuchas and making bread. I've been making bread forever, so thanks, Mom. But started making beer in 2008 or so, and I don't like drinking shitty beer.
Yeah.
And so just got
It gets old real fast.
Yeah.
What's the point,
Yeah.
Alcohol is fine and dandy, but I'd rather not drink as much as I don't have to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so it was just got pretty obsessed with making good beer. I wasn't really a gearhead. It was more of just a quality mentality. So fermentation fridges, yeast starters right away. Getting good ingredients and materials in, just good practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, low DO, that kind of thing.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways,
Which is you're in an awesome place to do it too.
Yeah.
I grew up in Texas. You should homebrew in Texas because
Yeah.
people do, but it's different. The locally sourced ingredients, the fresh ingredients, all the things. It's
Also the
just
environment
different.
conditions,
Environment
too,
conditions,
for-
all the things. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
challenge
just
is
really
higher.
It's hard to do lager when
Yeah.
it's 100+ degrees for 6+ months out of the year.
That's what fridges are for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm being a
No,
dick.
Fridges,
it's totally
AC,
true. But that's
yeah.
the thing is, if people don't have access to
Or-
have a fermentation fridge, they're like, oh yeah, I'll
Space.
build a box with styrofoam in it and just use the ambient in my
Yeah.
garage. And but that's what they do. That's-
$100 on Craigslist. I swear you can find a $100 fridge on Craigslist. If you
Yeah.
look for a month or two, you'll find it.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah,
Like
for
another
sure.
$100 or less, and you got a temp controller. Fucking make beer. You know?
Yeah. Did you go to any shows at Pat's Farm?
No, I
Okay.
didn't know Pat then. But what's funny is that farm was then purchased by when they sold it.
Yeah,
right?
a mutual friend of ours. Yeah.
A mutual friend, and like she and I have been besties for years now.
Gotcha.
And I actually have lived in that house 3 times now.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
dang, okay.
And so
Just like
we
third
have
degree of
this-
connection.
Yeah, we have this really like for the last decade in our friendship and stuff, have some really interesting connections, and so it just makes it feel even more organic that we've been doing this, and I think about that a lot. But no, I didn't get to Olympia until 2014, and I bounced around to a couple different homes, lived on a farm off of Black Lake, and then when I wanted to move out of there is when I actually moved into that house, which is over by Evergreen.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so I've lived there a few times. But my foray into beer, because I came from the cocktailing world.
Yeah,
which
that was
is-
a great
which is
word. I
in-
loved it.
Which is intense and creative as well.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah, it's crazy cocktail world.
Yeah.
it was wild. And I
Yeah.
started right when I was
Especially in
21.
Seattle.
I was one of those people that went
Yeah.
into
So
bartending
intense.
academy.
Oh, there you go.
in,
Oh, nice.
in Tacoma
Yeah.
because like my cousin was a
I
bartender.
think I know the building. I think
Yes,
I've driven
you
by
do.
that
Yes, that
bartending.
old,
Yes.
yep, on Sprague.
Yes.
I went to that. It's
Yes.
no longer there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But the owner owns the bar next door.
Okay, yeah.
Or maybe he sold it now. But yeah, I went to that bartending academy.
Okay, very cool.
And I paid for it myself, like with my retail job money,
Mm-hmm.
and was like, I want to do this because I'm just one of those people who's a foundational learner, and I had never done it before. I'd been a barista for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and was just like, hey, this seems natural to me, and like I always idolized like all my stepdad's Scotch collection, and like I grew up very Irish Scottish and always had Irish whiskey around, and I love to tease that I was a bartender since the age of 3 because my grandma taught me how to pour 3
Oh,
fingers
hell
of
yeah.
whiskey and put a rock in it and take her medicine every night.
Absolutely. Oh, it's so cute.
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
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 No, that was very real.
Yeah.
And
You were then. Yeah. For
yeah,
sure.
and so it just felt natural maybe
Yeah.
for me to do it. And so I did that, and I actually like graduated from that program at the very top of my class. I was
Hell
the
yeah.
youngest one by like
That's
almost
cool.
10 years.
Yeah.
And I could make 12 drinks in 4 minutes and 11 seconds.
Dang.
Damn. I didn't know that was a thing, but that's
Kudos.
amazing.
Yeah, we did a
Yeah,
speed
what a cool thing.
test,
That's
and
rad.
they were like, "Oh, if you can do it in 4 minutes, you get your picture on the wall." And like the last 2 beverages, because they call them like 3 or 4 at a time or whatever, and you don't know what you're gonna get, and you just have to make them. And I had just like I would show up 2 hours before everybody else and just like literally practice, and get like the motions down and all that. And yeah, I was the fastest one in the class.
That's amazing. I don't think I could
Awesome.
pour that many beers in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
and that was like
I don't
making
think
full
so.
cocktails.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
4 minutes.
Yeah.
12?
Fuck yeah.
12 beers in 4 minutes because I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
I.
suppose, if
you-
it's pouring right. And
If
all
it was
that.
like.
Yeah, if it's
pour-
pouring
it's pouring
smooth.
right and they're
Yeah.
like all right there.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
especially if there's
still.
a couple of them that are the same beer, you could do it.
Yeah.
But
Still.
yeah, it was
Still.
pretty fast.
It's
and
impressive.
I'm still proud of it. to
I
this
would
day.
be proud of that.
Did you ever get your photo back from that place? If it, 'cause
I never got my photo on the wall because it wasn't under 4 minutes.
Oh, it was under
But it
4
was
minutes.
4
Oh,
minutes
it was
and
4
11
minutes,
seconds.
11 seconds. Yeah,
Gotcha.
fucking A.
But it was literally like only 3
Stickler.
seconds slower than my instructor. So I was like, that's
You're-
fast, and I'm okay
Yeah,
with
you're like, I'm fine with
Absolutely.
that.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
anyway.
agree with that.
But yeah, I learned like 200 drink recipes in a matter of like 3 weeks too. So that was pretty rad.
That is
That's
nuts.
insane.
So that's what started me into bartending, and then like I moved to California and did like catering, bartending, and just would like cover shifts occasionally, and then came up and it was like during the recession, and it took like 8 months to find a job in the city, as I like moved in with my parents back in Kitsap until I could find a job, and then
Yeah.
I just like found a cafe job until I could find a bar job. But yeah, into beer, I got here and like did that
Yeah,
commute.
how did you get into beer?
I did that commute and then was burnt the F out, as you can imagine. And so my buddy Sarah Rambo, who
Oh, fuck yeah, Sarah Rambo.
is so funny
She's a
because
connector of human beings.
she is a connector
Hell
of
yeah.
human beings. So this is like one of the connections that Pat and I have is like, you know, Pat lived in Duval for a while, and Sarah Rambo grew up in North Bend, and Sarah Rambo and I ended up in the very same class for our first time at Evergreen. So our very first day at Evergreen, we met and had burritos together in the Red Square, and we've just been best
yeah.
friends ever since.
Friendship made.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Are we best friends now?
So when she came down here, she got a job with
Automatic.
Three Magnets before they opened to help them open.
Was it 2013, 14? When did Three Magnets open?
December 14 or November 14 was the pub. We started
Okay.
making beer in July.
Oh, okay.
Rambo, I'd been drinking my beer off the farm in at Helsing, like down in Independence Valley in Rochester, since 2010.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's when I
gotcha.
met her.
Yeah, and so there's another connection there that I'll
Wow.
tell you about. But there's just like layers. But so I met her, and so after I got burnt out from my commuter job, she was like, "Well, why don't I just like talk to the manager and see if you want to come in and work at the pub?" And so that's how I got in,
Gotcha.
like 7 months in.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yep, that summer.
And it was right at the beginning of summer, and they hired me knowing that in 2 months I was going to be leaving for a 6-month study abroad in South America. And so I just worked the summer as a beer tender.
That's so cool. That's so nice. Honestly.
Yeah, but I had come
That's them.
in.
Yeah.
I had come in visiting Sarah and like drank Pat's beer, and I was not really a beer drinker. Obviously, I loved cocktails, and that was my whole
Yeah.
thing. And I didn't really like beer, and I always had drank like Manny's when we'd go out, and I was like, that's not my jam.
Manny's
I
Pale
don't.
Ale.
I'm not a fan of like hoppy stuff, and I wasn't then, especially. I didn't really understand like hops at
Yeah.
all, and had drank like otherwise shitty beer, like, you know, Beck's and Rolling Stone,
Yeah.
and you know, Sam Adams isn't too bad, but
Yeah.
those are the things I grew up with, and so I was just like, I'm not a fan. And then my first craft beer was Pat's IPA.
Oh, wow.
It was the Three Magnets Rain IPA, and still
was
to
Rain,
this
huh?
day I just
Oh,
love
nice.
that freaking beer.
Nice.
We'll have to make it sometime.
Yeah.
Don't tell 3 Mag.
Yeah.
We'll collab it, right?
Yeah.
But you know, mosaic forward, yummy with that citra balance, and anyway, that just made me fall in love with it even more. And then just like that place really just turned me on to like the whole industry, because coming from cocktailing, it just felt so competitive all the time. There's also a lot of like sexism in like barista and cocktailing that happens, that is like, it's still prevalent in our industry, but I
yeah.
feel like our industry has generally done a better job at like kind of spearheading and tackling some of those dynamics and trying to shift that paradigm. And I immediately felt more comfortable in the beer world
Awesome.
than I had previously in beverage industry. So yeah, it just like was a comfortable fit, and I liked the fact that I was like learning a lot of new things all the time, and meeting a lot of cool people, and it actually gave me my first sense of community here in Olympia in a big way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's so good to hear.
Craft beer does have, I mean, for both of us, that's why we've started the podcast, was the community. We loved the people and the connections and talking, hearing stories. Like, there's always rad people that you get to talk to. So we enjoy going to breweries and talking to people there. And so being able to talk to the people who are making the beer industry what it is, like, that's been a huge driver of this podcast. So
Yeah.
it's
I think
insane,
there's
yeah.
plenty of ego in a lot of industries, and there's ego in the beer industry, but there's also great people and like not even just award-winning brewers, but like historical brewers in this industry that are introverted and super kind and soft-spoken, and you wouldn't know that they were that until someone like introduces you to them. It's like, oh, and it's like, yeah, that's so refreshing, because they are sometimes way more qualified than the people that are speaking and giving awards and being like, look at me. It's like, oh yeah, but like this person like started this style, like set the foundation for you to like build and grow and then achieve this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And I think it is wild to think about, like, there's a lot of craft beer bars and tap rooms across the, you know, nation
Yeah,
and world.
now
and
more than
everything.
ever.
And I think the interesting part of it is there's so many business owners and creators, and hearing all the stories and connections and how did you get to where you're at. It's just like, it's so intricate, and it's very much like tied together and knitted together, and we love hearing that and sharing that with the community that you're here with, so like the people in Olympia, they may all know you in one way, but like hearing more of a deeper story of why y'all got here is like a huge part of that. And so we love being able to share that.
And like that's how Pat and I met, was 3 Magnets. So
It seems, exactly. Yeah, that's a big piece of it. The, I guess craft beer specifically, world tends to be pretty open book. Like a lot of sharing, collaboration, and inclusion as far as like business entities are concerned, and then individuals within them. It seems to come back. I mean, to me, it always comes back to like the punk or like alternative, like weirdo aesthetic, which is like we're gonna build this together, opposed to like being cagey and closed off to each other. Yeah. That social space that gets formed ends up providing a lot of room for accountability. I think that's part of the reason that the shifts are changing here quicker in maybe the beer world than in other worlds of service and hospitality.
Yeah, it's also not so corporatized. I mean, I know there's parts of it, but it's not so corporatized.
Even when it is, it still has that like background of like, you want to know how I made this beer? I'll tell you all the shit I can tell you. Yeah. Some bullshit happens in your brewery, you take accountability for it, ideally. And if you can't, the community is going to know and remember, Yeah. Therefore, it becomes really hard to kind of be a shithead, and frankly, when it comes to like change as far as like women, POC, all that kind of stuff, It's just like, it's something you have to be aware of, or you can just fade away.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, okay, I'm just gonna get to it. How did y'all decide? Was there a moment that y'all decided that y'all wanted to start your own thing then? Because y'all both worked at a couple different places. What was that moment like, or how did it
really started with Pat, because Pat has done 2 breweries prior to this. Of course, Matchless came after 3 Magnets for him. So you can talk about that, how that started for you.
You shall. I want to hear.
That's your intro. And I do want to interject. So obviously you're homebrewing, but did you have like a beer that you were like, oh, fuck, I want to learn more about, like to get better at this process? Was there something that just really sparked it? And we're back from Pat peeing.
Wow, that's a good rejoinder.
There we go. So we left off in talking about kind of the beer that really like sparked your curiosity and fire into just getting better or being more creative.
One of my first, this is pretty fun. One of my first memories as a human being is drinking my dad's beer.
Okay. Your dad homebrewed?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
He cut firewood off the side of a hill with my mom in New Mexico growing up.
Okay.
And he'd be drinking these Little Kings, and I'd be holding them for him while he's cutting wood. And I'm just sitting in the truck, just like kid, probably under 5, just looking out the window, watching him. Maybe getting out, obviously helping sometimes, and just sitting there. I'm like, I'm gonna hold my dad's beer, and I take sips of it, and just seemed to be a thing to do.
Dang, Little King. I'm assuming that's just like a American lager.
Little Kings in Genesee earlier. This is like early '80s cream ale.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They came in the 8-ounce bottles, and there was like
like the super stubbies.
Yeah, there were 8 of them. There were 8 of them to a 8-pack, I guess. It'd be like a row of 4 and a row of 4, opposed to a 6-pack is an 8-pack, and they're just these little bottles. And I don't know why he was jamming on those when he was that age or whatever, but like that's what he liked. So yeah. So that was one of my first like formative memories is drinking his beer. It wasn't drinking; it was at least taking a sip.
Yeah.
And just throughout like life, it'd be like dinner time. Dad's got a beer. I might take a sip of it because it's like just interesting. It wasn't really something I wanted to drink more of. It was just like, cool.
Like that's what it tastes like?
Yeah, exactly. Even throughout high school, it wasn't like I drink a lot of beer, I'd go to a party with like kegers and shit, and I would bring my 12-pack of like Henry Weinhard's or Blue Boar, because I'm a fucking weirdo.
Classic.
And I got to do my thing, Or maybe it's feeling special, I'd bring some Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, just to blow people's heads off,
There you go.
I got 3, you can have the other 3,
There you go. Shout out Belmont Station. Luke and I would go into the cooler at Belmont Station when Blue Boar was in. He would be like, you got to shotgun a can with me before the shift. And I'm like, yeah, dude. I was like, I remember when they came in bottles. He's like, don't even start.
Can you imagine, like, back in the day, like, this is probably the mid-'90s, mid-'90s, like, Blue Boar and cans would be nuts.
Yeah. Now you can get them in, like, 24-rack cans of, like, Blue Boar and their private reserve lager or whatever they call it.
That's probably all Full Sail, I'm pretty sure, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think they run that brand.
Yeah, probably. That makes sense. Full Sail is great. I got to say, for a big-ass brewery, Full Sail does some cool shit. I think they still make Session in bottles, which I love. And then they're doing Henry Weinhardt's. Like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
And they're in Hood River, which is like got to be a dream as far as living places are concerned.
Oh, yeah.
We were just there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, loved it. Yeah, great. They have
crazy.
a good spot. They have a cool view. Like all the other breweries are like down on the waterfront, but Full Sail is like up, so you get to like see the like Pano view.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot, right?
Yeah.
Also, White Salmon Baking Company. Just go hop across the river into Washington. That place
So
is
good.
lovely.
If you're making bread, you can
Yeah.
like sit there and like just watch them make bread, and you don't have to make it, and then you just get to eat it.
Yeah, gonna have to do that here soon. I didn't know that existed.
They
White Salmon
do,
Bakery.
yeah.
There
Go
you
White
go.
Salmon. You can go to everybody's.
Yeah, everybody's
brewery.
brewing is over there as well.
Yeah,
Just
say
have
hi
a
to
good-
friends.
Good day. Yeah.
We're the Hood River and White Salmon welcoming committee here.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
No, I've been to Hood River a lot, like Logston when they were open in that space. So we were
yeah.
up there visiting those guys a lot. They're really tight with us. Back at 3 Meg and Matchless Days, just like we were always making beer with
Isn't
them,
that
just
when you
hanging
did
out.
your sleeveless beer? Didn't you do Logston?
We did 2 sleeveless beers. One was with
What's a sleeveless beer?
Yeah.
Was
Oh.
it called sleeveless?
I don't.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's so annoying.
Is it because you wear
Oh.
sleeveless?
Yeah, I grew up in like redneck land, and we just cut off our sleeves a lot, and it never like left me, and it's just kind of like I don't know, why do you have sleeves on T-shirts? It's weird.
Becomes your moniker now.
I guess so. Yeah. And so I've done 2 beers. One was a sleeveless black saison with Shilpy, formerly of Logston. He's now at Wolves and People.
Oh, nice.
It was a nice beer. It aged well. It was almost like a black IPA.
Very
Oh, interesting.
Pretty
Yeah.
wild beer.
That's pretty yummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 3 Meg, and then we did Sleeveless in Seattle with Nat from Browers as a collab with Matchless. I don't remember what beer that was. It was probably a hoppy beer, you know.
I don't think I
Sleeveless
ever
in
drank
Seattle
that
is a
one.
great name, by the way.
Oh,
Yes.
That's so
Sleeveless
good.
in
So
sleeve. Was
smooth.
it called Sleeveless in Seattle?
Yes, if you ever.
Okay, I watch Sleepless in Seattle like every year. So
Oh shit.
Now you need
yeah,
the beer.
so now I need the beer of Sleeveless in Seattle.
Well, this is all Nat Pellman. Browers. Like, this is his idea. We did a collab. He made posters for it. We made T-shirts. The T-shirts had cut lines on the sleeves. So you can cut the sleeves off. In case you didn't know where to cut to remove sleeves.
Yeah.
There's a difference between cutting a tank top out of a T-shirt and just cutting sleeves off.
100%.
Gotcha.
Yes, the seams. Yeah.
Yeah, not to be some professional in this bullshit, but
No,
Yeah.
I was about to say we'll have to have a tutorial at the end of
Oh.
like how you properly do it because I usually just go along the same line and it still like
That's it?
comes off jagged and I'm just like okay,
it's
well
fine.
whatever, it'll work out.
yeah, it's all good.
Okay, hell yeah.
So you
Just
get
follow
the proper treatment of we'll give you a T-shirt from here, and Pat will give
Cut
you
it
the
for me?
tutorial.
Is that going to be an event where you can Pat will
We had
Lord.
somebody literally request and that said that they would pay extra money just for Pat to cut the sleeves
Okay,
off.
That would
I
be
feel like that
awesome.
should be a service.
Yeah.
Here
you
at
guys have a
Ilk,
beer event this
yeah.
summer and it's not tie-dye t-shirts, is you pay for a t-shirt and then you just cut it, the sleeves off, it's like perfect. There you go.
But Pat
Oh,
does
Lord.
the cutting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're gonna have
Pat
to-
will cut the sleeves off. I will crop them if you want them.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I love
crop all
this.
mine.
We'll have like goat races, pig wrestling, a dunk tank, and I'll cut sleeves off a shirt.
I love that. That's
Weird.
perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, when is
Yeah.
this happening?
Yeah.
Are we flying back
Anytime.
from the East
Yeah.
Coast?
But if
to
we have a
make this
dunk tank,
happen?
we have to bring fast fashion down because they wanted to do that with us.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
fun.
Yep. Oh no, for sure.
And
That's our
hey, if
version
you
of a
ever
roast.
need I've been pitching this everywhere. Somebody's going to utilize it. If you want to do a beer and have crop top T-shirts, top crop top.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that'd be
Top,
so
crop,
funny for a
crop
beer
top.
because like a top
Mhm.
or
Some kind of
fermentation,
Yeah.
English
like open,
beer of some
yeah.
sort. Yeah.
So this is our collab that we do with you
Yes.
now?
Okay.
Is that
yes.
what we should do?
I love
I
it.
thought
We
the
should
name
do
was
that.
great. Yeah.
Do I get to come to the club
Yes,
this time?
please.
Oh, please.
I would love that.
You
You and
gotta
I
do
will
it.
wear the crop tops.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
I
all-
And
love
so
this.
will they.
We'll all
and
wear-
they, yeah.
We'll all
They
wear
will
crop
rock
tops.
it.
Yeah.
We all have to.
Yeah.
I've been
Okay.
waiting to wear a crop top for a while.
Coin. It's
Yeah.
almost
Yes.
it's almost crop top season.
Oh,
so
Lord.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's getting warmer
It's coming
now.
quick.
I wear them all. I'm wearing one today.
Hell yeah.
Stylish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited now. Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Deal.
sounds great.
We have a real plan.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes, for sure.
Lord.
This is how
Awesome.
collaborations happen. You guys.
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, yeah, and probably some of the best. Some of the best.
Here's a stupid idea. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
I
always
love it so
doable.
much.
It's always worth
Gosh.
doing these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So from drinking your dad's Little Kings to
Oh,
here
yeah.
now, and obviously the coalition or the coalescence of Ilk Beer.
Yeah.
I guess like it's obviously environmentally very environmentally conscious, which is a big thing. Obviously, we live in such a beautiful state. So like from dumping of chems in water and everything that you can put into a drain to where your grain goes. How did like the ethos behind Ilk Beer happen? Like, were you guys just like drinking at a bar one day and just being like, this would be cool to like to do this, or
Let's see.
Well, I think like Pat and I both share like our backgrounds and just like our lifestyles of wanting to be sustainable and minimal, and we care about the environment in general. But my background in ecology, like I said, is in writing the business plan and stuff. Just really thinking it through at every stage and every process of building the business, and like thinking about our products and where we want them to come from and what we want them to represent. And in doing the business plan writing process, I took a business program through an organization here in Olympia called Enterprise for Equity that helps lots of people, but people generally of marginalized backgrounds or income, learn how to start a business.
It's like less represented?
Yeah, and so I went through that program as a 12-week program. So it's like a quarter of school to learn all the ins and outs of that, because I've helped manage a brewery, Three Magnets, and done all the sales and all the beer service side of it, and he's done all the brewing side of it, and production and all that. But neither of us have done the money management side or those kinds of things. And so, and then when we were thinking about how much it was really going to cost at this stage of the economy, like we were just like, cool, we're going to definitely probably have to go for a lot more money than we thought. And so we needed to have a lot of planning involved. And so did that course so that I could feel it out and make sure we had a strong foundation to move forward to seek out investment funds and things like that. And in that process, like their part of their curriculum is what's called the triple bottom line, which is putting people and planet before profit.
Nice.
And
I like
so in our business plan, I really thoroughly kind of fleshed out that portion of our structure and like kind of wrote that into our ethos, if you would.
Yeah.
And so that kind of is the backbone of how we move forward in our brand, essentially. And it just is thinking through at every stage of making decisions for our business, of like what products we buy, to the relationships we build, to the pub that we have created, and our hiring processes and all of that is thinking through of like, okay, how is it sustainable economically and environmentally, and is it practical, and then how can it become right practical? What does that even mean? In this economy, nothing is practical.
We'll find out in a year.
Yeah. But and just trying our best to like engage with that all the time, and kind of not take no for an answer and find a way to say yes to those kinds of choices all the time, to the best of our ability, as we can afford it.
Yeah, because sometimes the easiest solution is not always the best solution.
Right.
And yeah, that's just the fact of like doing research, working harder, and being creative to figure out what is best for you, your business, and your ideals of like what you want.
Yeah.
One of the biggest pieces about that is the hard part about it, not the quote unquote hard part. It's less hard if you just go into it without not doing that. So if you just like launch with all that in place and continue to do that in place, it becomes less like painful to transition, because I think going through the door is harder than just like being on the other side, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've been like small farming since since 2005. It's a long time. I was like, well, what did you transition to organic farming? I'm like, I've always just done the organic farming thing, There wasn't really a relearning or an unlearning, if that makes sense. And like that mentality is stuck with me as far as like how we operate this business and how I've operated with 3 Mag or Mashless, because I have a lot of control in those situations. Just lucky me, to just like, we're opening this and we're going to support local farms. Like Skagit Valley Malt was like our main supplier at Matchless, There was no choice otherwise. It's going to have to be this way, right?
Yeah.
Here we've been working with like Link Malt and Main Stem.
Link, they're boose great companies.
Yeah.
Fuck
yeah. And like, we're mostly malt coming from Washington, Oregon, Montana, and so even at 3 Magnets, we were working with Washington Select grown malt from Great Western, So it's always been kind of one of those things where it's like the ethos of like not traveling very far and supporting the people who are near you, and hopefully getting good shit to work with, like all works out. And it tends to. If you have to like augment, that's your job, is like the producer of the thing is to make everything work that you have in front of you. And if you just can't, then you can't do it. That's fine. That's totally fine. You know. But so far for the brewery and this business, we've been able to make that work pretty well. I think. I mean, we're pretty young, so
yeah. I mean, in a matter of months, really is what it's felt like since we've actually gotten the beer off the ground. And
it's been months.
What was the first? When did y'all get the beer off the ground? What was
our first beer came out October 20th.
Okay. And it's now May 22nd.
Yeah.
So not long.
Yeah.
And so we've been wholesaling that amount of time, and then we got the lease for the pub March 1st and opened it 2 months later. So we opened on April 26th was our soft open for friends and family, and then we opened it for Arts Walk weekend, which because
it was
we
awesome.
Took over, it was very awesome.
It was insanely
and
busy.
we actually did an amazing
like good reception.
job.
Fucking crazy.
It was so packed in here, there was not room for people to get in.
It was
and there was
nonstop
like
for like
moms
7
with
hours.
strollers turning around being like, we'll have to come back another time.
Yay.
And everybody killed. All the front of house killed. All the kitchen killed. It was killer. Like,
and we
everything
sold
was
out
killer.
250 burgers that Saturday by like 6:30.
Oh,
Crap ton
damn.
of pints went through the bar.
Fuck yeah. Way to go, kitchen staff.
Yeah, it was incredible.
We've been insanely lucky, I guess. I don't know what the right word is. Like, did the right things. I don't know. Like, everybody we're working with is experienced people in the industry, lifers from this area, people who trusted us, who worked with us before, people who were new, were just like jumped like off a cliff with us, literally to open the place, the pub. Like, that's a lot of trust. It's wild.
I think it's cool to see the community of Olympia, because it's weird to say, because I haven't spent a lot of time in Olympia. I've spent a good amount, but I feel like it's very similar to Astoria, where like Olympia is like a big city, but it has a very like small, tight-knit community, and they support a lot of their local, and like that's very true to Astoria. Like, they live and die for like all of their local businesses.
It's microcosmic.
So so that, do you feel that?
Yes,
Okay,
very
awesome.
much. Our community here is very loyal, and that can be good or bad, but sometimes. But we have the blessing also of like taking over a location that has been a community staple since the 90s.
It's an institution here.
And so, it was Fishtail Pub originally for Fishtail
Oh,
Ales.
okay. So this building?
Yes,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's what this was.
Gotcha. I
And
didn't know
Our
if it was
brewery.
just. I didn't know if it was just the brewery. Okay, so cool.
So we've taken over a couple pieces of that legacy.
Historic brewing legacy.
That's awesome.
And so that feels really cool. And this pub wasn't the original plan because it wasn't available and it wasn't in our wheelhouse when we started the brewery. It just so happened to work out because they closed last summer.
Gotcha.
And we had heard about it a couple weeks in advance, and we're like, well, it'd be pretty smart of us to probably try to go after it. It's a block over from our production facility and all that. And it was pretty turnkey. We didn't do a whole lot
Gotcha.
to get it open, which is why we could turn it over in 2 months.
So quickly,
flat.
yeah.
But, there were several months of negotiation and making sure all the money was in place to get it all under wraps and all that.
Oh, our landlords are great.
And
Like,
our
nice.
landlords
Solbergs.
here, they're incredible. They've been so supportive, and
They've
they're
been
so
the landlords
excited for us.
for Fish since Fish opened, and now they're landlords with us, and it's like they're great. Like, they're sweet people.
Nice. So it's like they want to see this still here.
The fact that we all live in town and like have families in town and all that kind of shit, it's like they're so stoked about because they've been townies or whatever forever now.
And they're passionate about this business model. Like, they're passionate about it being a restaurant and a pub and a place for the community. And so they wanted somebody like us to take it over.
Yeah.
Because it had kind of lost that over time, unfortunately.
It's well represented.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like
Yeah, I
that.
can't
And
wait to
didn't
take
know.
photos too for y'all.
Yeah,
and
we will.
stuff.
Yeah, we'll eventually. So we talk about this, but like our first 100 episodes that we do, we're going to come back and revisit.
Yeah, we wanna
so
come
you guys
back.
will be
Okay.
116.
We may not be
And we'll
able to
have
do
video
all
to
100.
You'll
do
see us
it.
when we're really, really rocking.
Yeah.
It'll be like a Mad Max movie. It'll be fun and
Yeah.
wild.
It'll be fun.
There's only more to
Yeah.
come.
It'll be fun.
How did y'all come up with the name Ilk? Like, where did that come from? How did that get started?
Abe's good at coming up with names, let's just say, and threw out like 50 names, and I'm like, let's whittle it down to these 5, and then kind of toss it back, and we came to like a couple names in
Yeah, it
pretty
was
short
like
order.
3.
Like Amble and Ilk were a couple of names that kind of stuck out.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then I told him, I was like, okay, what I'm gonna do is for these top 3, I'm gonna write you a pitch, like a brand pitch,
Oh, nice.
and I'm gonna pitch them to you, and we're gonna talk about it. And we whittled it down to this one. There's like a lot of components to it, just like all the layers of our friendship and how we got here. It's the same with our name in some ways of like, two funny little things are that like both of our names are 3-letter words. And so like
Pat, Abe.
that,
Okay.
and then the factor that like we wanted it to be beer, not brewing or brewing co or anything like that. We wanted it to be kind of succinct. And so those two things combined made a lot of sense. But then the other side of that is like, I felt really tied to it with like my familial heritage. And I'm really have a strong matriarch in my family who we come from a long line of Scottish heritage, and ilk is a old Scottish term
Nice.
to mean like of the same family or place or tribe or land. But it's generally to be of the same category or type.
Oh, gotcha.
That's
Wow.
super interesting.
Yeah.
And so we're not
That's
trying
Olympia.
to and we're not trying to
It really embodies it all.
reinvent the wheel when it comes to beer, but we are trying to do it our way. And then we're also trying to create a lot of inclusivity and community. And so that just seemed like a good fit.
Yeah.
It's
for
also
us.
a majorative and a pejorative, which is fucking great because you ain't always going to do right or wrong.
Right.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
you can definitely say whatever you want about their ilk. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a sticky word. It's one of those words that
It is.
everybody's always like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so it's thought
Stays
provoking.
in your
It's a
head.
conversation starter, and it also is like, it sticks in your mind.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
How?
That's really lovely,
Yeah, I
actually.
love
That's
it.
well thought out. I think it's great to have something that it's not just personal to you, personal to your terroir and community around, but also you're just like, yeah, this is for everybody to build upon as well. That's fucking rad.
Yeah, love it. Love
thank
it so much.
And it's a short email address.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
And somehow the domain was not taken, and I just grabbed it.
That's awesome.
So good.
Unlike ours is very long, but we love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey,
Yeah.
but at least it's not like we did see in brewery closings of last year. I remember reading it in the mag, like that Brewers Association mag. It was
yeah.
like it was like Two Bit Hooker Brewing. It was a brewery in Oregon, like southeastern Oregon.
What?
Yeah.
How could they close?
And that closed. Yeah, no, exactly. And then there was another one that was like very similar to that style of name. And I was like, how did these ever get approved? But yeah, I was just like, it's okay.
All the things.
Whatever.
So
To each their own. I was like, this is so corny.
Yeah.
It's so,
So
corny.
good.
So from the name and the ethos of the company and everything that y'all are doing, what's your strategy for the beer production? How do y'all decide what beer to make and to put on tap? What does that look like?
Besides it just being good.
Yeah.
You should have heard our meeting the other day.
Yeah. This thing can be a churn sometimes. It's almost like whitewater rafting without a raft, you know? I mean, fuck, where to start? Number one, we have to sell beer. Okay, so there's that. We have to sell beer. So the barrel program is 10 barrels deep at this point in time. 10. That's it. If you know me, I've done a lot of barrel shit in the past. It's 10 deep. So the goal is definitely to make beer that we want to drink and sell and that people want to drink and buy, you know? That doesn't mean catering or pandering. It's just like we happen to like to make beer that people like to drink. That's kind of the main thing as far as like where to go as far as that's concerned. And if you've seen our board or how we bought our beer, we don't do a lot of like quote unquote traditional anything. Like our best bidder, English best bidder, like what is it, Tom's best bidder? That's like kind of is like close to how it gets like for an actual British bidder. Like we have a Helles that's out in the market right now, and it's like to call it a German Helles would be kind of a joke because it's like American malts and some American hops and some German hops and this American yeast, you know, quote unquote American yeast. So the goal right now for the brewery is just as far as like what beers we want to make. We need to make sure you want to drink them. We need to make sure we want to make them, and
First
so
things
that we want to drink them.
Yeah. First things
yeah,
first.
I mean, yeah, we want to drink them for sure. But like, you know, we do have to sell beer. It's a pain in the ass. But
Yeah.
and then otherwise, we just try to work with a lot of like local materials, and look back at like our local or American like brewing history for reference points, and just like it's a global economy, like global brewing industry, so we can look at anything we want to and kind of fuck with whatever we want to. But like you haven't seen a lot of beers come out that say Czech style Pilsner or English style anything. You know, there's a huge amount of like room in the American brewing world right now as far as like traditional craft beer is concerned. So it's hard to like leave that alone. You know, that's
It's like
basically it.
The world is your oyster, but still like you have to like narrow it down to like a strategy and what's available. And
Yeah.
it sounds like the sustainability for what's close to y'all and the relationships that y'all built to like what to bring in. So I'm sure it's like it's a whole thing. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
and another
Oh, no, for
part
sure.
of that
Yeah.
sustainability model too is like thinking about how long we've been doing what we do and drinking what we drink. And for a long time there, we've all experienced how like the IPAs and everything have gotten up to that 8% threshold that has become kind of the norm. And we are just like tired of drinking that much alcohol and would like to be able to, again, it's around that ethos of forming community and wanting people to stick around and hang out here and, you know, meet people and just, have a shared space and time. And if you're just getting sloshed, you know, all the time on one or two beers, then you're not able to even maybe eat a meal. You're not able to hang out, you know. And so it's just coming back into that feedback loop of keeping people around to hang out and enjoy themselves more, by
And still
having
be responsible.
being responsible and also just like creating space that's good for all people and all, you know, families and those kinds of things as well, which is like, cool, we're not here to get you wasted. We want you to hang out and have fun, enjoy a meal, have, you know, 3 or 4 beers.
Yeah, our board right now has 12 beers on it. We have 4 beers above 6%, 2 at 5, and everything else is below 5.
Which is so
and
nice.
that's hard to make beer that's below 5%. That's really like satisfying, and that's
Still
been one
like
of the-
flavorful and
quaffable,
has
sessionable.
Yeah. So the time off of brewing that I had was basically trying to figure out how to make beer that people will be willing to pay for. That's under 5%. You know,
Still waiting for you to make that dunkel.
I will be
Brown
too.
beer was on. The beer hug was on. That dunkel was a bit of a story, but like it was 2.8% alcohol, and it was good, but it was definitely fucking wild.
Nice.
Yeah, it wasn't wild like funky. It was just troublesome to make.
How do y'all come up with the names for the
For the beer specifically? Sometimes I just throw a name out and go, we're going to do that, because like, you know, like an ogre.
Or sometimes Rob does.
Yeah,
Or
sometimes
sometimes
Rob
Christian
does,
does,
yeah.
or
Like
sometimes I
Christian.
do.
Pretty
Sometimes Dave
boy,
does,
Shumway. I'm like, these are all pretty.
Fluid
Yeah.
diet was mine.
Yeah.
Fluid
that's
diet,
Dave's,
nice.
Yeah.
The minor falls, the major lifts. These are like.
Oh, that's
these are
John
great.
at full throttle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All the collabs are always fun because then we have other people even
Oh,
adding
okay.
names. And the Pretty Boy Shumway was our Here Today Seattle Beer Week beer release that we just did on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
And that came about because during Winter Beer Fest, there's a costume and booth, you know, contest.
Yeah.
And so we ended up coming up with the idea last minute because Rob has a full body elf costume.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so we were like,
That's
cool,
awesome.
we'll buy you a Santa hat and it can be like Christmas Elf. And he's like, wait, there's an Elf Christmas movie that's literally Elf's Special Christmas and it's really dark and weird. But I was like, cool, I'll go with it. And I stayed up until like 3 a.m. the night before Beer Fest and painted this backdrop to look exactly like the movie
Yeah.
movie cover of the VHS. And
fucking
Of the
dedication.
yeah, and it turned out great,
Yeah.
by the way. And he was Elf, and then our booth was right next to Here Today at Winter Beer Fest, and they showed up and showed out and showed off, and were awesome and did their like Home Alone theme,
Gotcha.
and were the Wet Bandits, and they won the contest. However, the day before we got there, they had released their collaboration with the new 9 Lives Brewery, which is like the cat-loving brewery. Seems awesome.
Where's that at?
I know.
In
How have we
Seattle.
not
I
heard
think
of
it's
this?
in
Seattle?
Ballard.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I think they're still
and-
like guest brewing or whatever the word is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are trying to get like
Guest or
open, I
gypsy or
think.
contract.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
put out a collab with them that some
Oh, that's right.
glitter
It's like-
paws or something like
yeah.
that, and it has cats all over the can. And if you know
right.
anything about Alf, there's lots of jokes and talk about him eating cats.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he eats cats, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
my
and so I texted them and I was like, you guys have to bring cans so that we can get a photo op of Alf drinking one of the cat cans at Beer Fest. So we did.
Yes.
So then
Very
when we
nice.
were like, hey, after that, we were like, I was talking to them and they're like, we should do things together because we also both do smash burgers and stuff like that. And so that's how this Beer Week event came about, and then the collab. And so when we were trying to
And
come
we
up
love
with a
Texas
name,
Dave.
yeah, we love Texas Dave, and Chris Elford is awesome too.
Yeah.
And so so they were like, well, why don't we give it an elf name? And then they were coming up with stuff, and Texas Dave was like, we should call it Pretty Boy Shumway. And then he sent me like the link to the. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's Elf's cousin, Pretty Boy Shumway from Melknack.
Gotcha. That's
Gotcha.
wild. I
That's
love
a
that.
long tangent story.
No, yeah, I was
That's
gonna
the
say
perfect-
we'll do our research. We'll
Yeah.
watch it and
Yeah.
we'll get a better background about it.
We do have a lot of names. I'll say we're trying not to be like the constant rotation either situation, of the late 2018s or whatever.
We are working into finding
Yeah.
some great house brands pretty quickly. We've already been able to rebrew several, and we are about to release a couple of our first 12-ounce cans as house brands, so that's really exciting.
Oh fuck yeah!
But yeah, our talk initially was like, oh, it's our first year and everybody loves all the new shit, and so we should probably be on a high rotation until we can dial in those house brands. But it actually happened pretty fast because so many people were like, oh my God, are you going to make this beer again? It's so freaking good.
Oh,
and
I
then
see, yeah.
we're just like, well, okay then.
The customer
Like,
feedback was real quick.
it was
about
really
the,
fast and really strong.
Hey, that's nice.
opinionated. So
What,
we were
are,
like,
what were those beers that they were?
one of the first ones was New
Like
Zealandia.
some of the early beers we wanted
Yeah.
to drink again. Yeah.
Yeah, Zealandia has already been brought back.
Fluid Diet we've made 3 or 4 times actually, which is kind of wild for.
And now Dive Pale.
Yeah,
I
we
had
Dive a
that, and
couple
it
times.
was, you should make that more. I love
We
that.
made that a couple times. Yeah, Colorado Space we made a couple times. There's like the Mosaic single hop has been
Yeah,
made a couple
Mosaic is a
times.
big-
Yeah, there's
big
just a handful
seller.
of beers. Circus Lupulus I'm making this week. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so that beer's been fun.
Definitely
It's been
all the
fun.
hazy IPAs are just like flying. They're kind of just the hottest commodity. And
Yeah, except
we
everybody
can't,
wants a West Coast from us for some weird reason. Yeah.
Right. But yeah,
And
we've been
sometimes
getting West
it's not
Coast.
because they don't want to order it at that time. They just want it to be up there for one day that they want to order
Uh-huh,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
Just
Yeah,
knowing
yeah.
they have it.
I mean,
But-
bartenders drink the beer, so I'm happy. That's the main
Yeah.
thing.
Hey, there you go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the main thing.
And so you all said that y'all are doing some canning. Have y'all already? I saw some cans in the cooler. So do y'all have a mobile canner that's coming in? What does that look like for
Oh yeah,
y'all?
Cascadia comes in every other
Okay,
week. Like
gotcha.
literally every other week they come
Every
in and
week.
package 2 to 3 brands.
Gotcha.
It's usually a very small run. We sell a lot of draft, but they're great to work with.
They're lovely people.
They're the greatest people.
Yeah.
I think
We-
we've met
we
like
t-
6 or 7
yeah,
people,
all of them.
and I knew a lot of them when.
Yeah.
Like they would come to Freem when we didn't have the canning line and we did craft canning, and
Yep.
a lot of them they like subjugated off and made Cascadia canning.
Yeah.
And we used them at Steeplejack and things like that. So they're
Yeah.
good people.
Well, and
They're
you
good
saw our
humans.
brewery.
awesome.
It's nice because they can literally just back the whole truck up in and then
Yes.
just unload, and they love it.
It's
They're
not
like,
some
this is the
funky
easiest
alleyway.
shit.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
pop
we
in,
built
pop
the
out.
program for them to be able to integrate into easily, and that's it for now. We don't plan
Yeah.
on putting in our own canning situation anytime soon. So,
Yeah.
Nice.
we built it literally to make sure that they could do what
Yeah.
they
You're like,
wanted.
we need
It was
this.
they need.
easiest
Yeah.
for all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the third time's a charm. I'm pretty
Got it
pretty
figured out now.
okay at this. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have any like fun beers or things you're excited for that are coming up like this summer as the weather kicks up and people come out more to eat
He's like,
and
you're
drink,
putting me on the
walk,
spot,
food?
Austin. I have to.
Let me check my brew schedule.
Yeah, it could be beers. It could be. Do you have events?
Well, by the time this airs, I'm not sure quite when
A
it will
couple of
air.
weeks, yeah.
But we are trying to extend our hours for the pub, and we're just in the process of working out the kinks here. So the goal is to do some sort of celebration for that.
Oh, nice.
Probably second week of July or so.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
And extend to 6 days a week, and some later nights on Friday, Saturday.
Very cool.
And along those lines, we're releasing one special collaboration beer for that event, and then we are also rotating in a couple of our artist neighbors that actually share the Knitting Mills building that our production space is in, because there's artist
wonderful.
studios right there across the street. And so we have some friends who have their studio up there, and they're gonna make some beer labels for us, and we're going to release
awesome.
those, and then they're going to show their art here at the same time
Okay.
for the month of July.
Oh,
So
that's
that feels pretty
rad.
awesome, and hopefully, maybe have some live music or records or things like that
Oh
going
yeah,
on.
like
and
other little pop-ups that happen.
yeah, and Daniel specifically, he does these really cool projection and light stuff. And then we're going to have him come in and do that on the wall. And
Oh, cool.
That's
Yeah.
so sweet.
We'll have
cool.
to keep our eye out because
That's
we
awesome.
won't be in the area, so we can't come. But
Oh,
we will
yeah.
we'll keep an eye out
Yeah.
and check that out.
Well, and
We'll make
whenever
sure
you
to put it
guys
on
come
TV,
through,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
we are trying to get an event schedule up. I'm working on that with AJ today. Actually, he's going to start booking things. We just had our first like live music come in and play on Sunday night. They're going to
Very
be
cool.
every third Sunday. Sway Cool Jazz Trio, and they were
Yeah.
Oh,
amazing.
rad.
That sounds
And it
awesome.
was actually like 5 of them. And next time they
Yeah.
said they're bringing a saxophonist.
Oh, wow.
Um,
dude,
That
that's
sounds
so
amazing.
great. That's so
Yeah,
great.
people were loving it. So
no sax.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like the electric one that like Jack Black plays.
Man, that'd be so
Yeah.
good.
yeah. But we are
It's all
participating
serious
in
except for that.
Yeah.
quite a few of the things happening that normally happen in summer. So we're doing Brew 5-3. We are doing Washington Brewers Fest.
The Washington Brewer
Fest.
Festival.
And we're doing the Finney Neighborhood Summer Beer Taste.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what we got lined up
We're
so
also
far.
doing
Nice.
we're also doing the Astoria one.
Oh, cool.
The Blogger Fest.
It's the Lagerfest?
Yeah.
We were there last year.
Oh, the Bowie one?
Austin, yeah,
Yeah.
Austin
Yeah.
did a beer
I did
with,
one with Steeplejack.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Steeplejack,
cool.
Steeplejack and
and
Bowie.
Bowie.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
he
that's
did
the
one.
one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
We
the
got
one.
invited to one
That's the
down
one
there.
I'm aware of.
Yeah.
We
Um,
actually,
Cool.
that was one
That's
of
fun.
our first posts on our Instagram
Oh,
was
shit.
because Austin did a collab with one of the guys
Yeah.
that he knew out at Bowie with Steeplejack, and that was one of our first posts on our
that's
Instagram was at their Lagerfest. It's
Yeah.
actually really like
It's a lot
we
of
were
fun.
we lived in a
that building is falling into the water.
Wild.
So everything is
Yeah.
now just like kind of move forward, which honestly it makes it a little bit easier to access
Okay.
and more space.
That's
But
good to
honestly,
know.
we lived in Astoria for a year. We loved it. We love.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't like just spending a weekend in Astoria. You have so much to do. So much. I mean, we already did a podcast with
Yeah.
Dwayne at Bridge and Tunnel. Like,
yeah.
there's just so
Dwayne's rad.
much to do
Yeah.
around that facility and all. Like, you can just like park and just enjoy your weekend.
Yeah.
So,
it's
so
central.
while you're there, it's like Bridge and Tunnel, Obelisk.
Oh,
Do
yeah,
all
we-
your
we
other
already
fun
did a-
things.
yeah, we did a
Go to
podcast for
Video
Obelisk.
Horizon, which you can still rent
Oh, yeah.
DVDs and
Yeah.
That's
movies
pretty cool.
from.
Go
And then
get
if you're
breakfast when you're
hungover, go to
So
Labor
many.
Temple.
Labor Temple.
And yeah.
Good breakfast.
Yeah, we
Oh,
did not
yeah.
go there last time. We just took half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's all
Yeah.
good.
You
But I'll
gotta
be
go
excited for you.
get a screwdriver and some
Yeah.
Yeah.
diver.
It was
food.
funny.
Not so
When we
secret place to
go
get
there and eat
breakfast.
breakfast, and we're just there, like this is nice, and there's just people like gambling on the slots at like
Yeah.
8 a.m. I'm just
It's so
like,
great.
yeah, dude, that coastal town life, yeah,
I love it.
it's so
Yeah.
picturesque.
That'll be so fun that you'll get to go there and do that fest. So that's very cool.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
love
That's what we
that.
have lined up right now. There'll be some fresh hop things, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it's only bound to pick up too, like as you guys
Yeah.
like fully launch everything
Yeah.
here.
We
You
don't
know,
want to do a ton of fests, though. God damn it.
well, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, people knowing
Here we
about
are into
you.
it already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
We
yeah.
are doing
Lord.
it, and we've been, I've been talking to the city. The city wants help potentially trying to bring back Olympia Beer Fest,
Oh,
potentially right here on the blocks in front of us. So that's kind
Yeah.
of cool, and
that's cool.
working towards doing more things with our community.
Yeah,
you know.
love that. I
Nice.
think that we've heard a couple of different things from the podcast that we've done. We normally ask kind of like the community like outreach or like how the community has responded to them opening and different things like that. And so I think having a community that has just like kind of
Yeah.
I wouldn't say latched on, but like really enjoyed and like really celebrated y'all's opening. I think that's very cool because that doesn't happen always.
No.
So to be
Y'all
in
are
a
very
space-
interconnected,
Yeah,
and I
that's
think on the
very-
pulse
that's very
with
awesome.
Olympia, which
Yeah,
is
you know.
beautiful.
We have
Yeah.
a lucky location too. It's just
Yeah.
like, this is a landmark space, for people drinking beer in town. And it's been a beer town for 100+ years. So,
Yeah.
we have a whistle we have the steam whistle.
Can you explain that? Because y'all said that about the
It's-
beer, but I didn't know what the steam whistle was. I figured it was actually a steam whistle that blows.
So,
But
yeah,
can you
it's-
tell the story for
Oh
us?
no, it's still conflict land as far as was this an original Olympia
Yeah.
Brewery steam whistle or not? The two stories are it's not, of course. The fish bought it and put it up after Olympia closed and started blowing the whistle. The other story is that it's the lunch whistle, so it's the whistle that blew when it was lunchtime back at Oli Brewery. The getting off work whistle is like as large as a, medium-sized child. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's fucking big. And it's in Tumwater. We know that for sure. And Tumwater blows it every once in a while for like special events and things like that. So there's the controversy. Does it matter? Not really, because since 2001, Fish blew the steam whistle, and it's a real whistle hooked up to a real boiler. It's loud as fuck. And then it stopped blowing in 2020, actually. August 2020 is when Fish closed the production facility.
Gotcha.
So it hasn't blown since then. We brought it back this year, Arts Walk, first time. Or maybe the day before.
We did it. Arts Walk started on Friday, and so we started it Friday at 5, and then we blew it again on Saturday at 4:30 because it's tradition for the procession of the species parade for Arts Walk to begin with them blowing the whistle.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So we just blew it on Friday for fun, and then then Saturday
Also, probably
was
just
like,
make sure it works and it doesn't just like.
Oh no,
we
we
knew it worked.
fucked with it a little bit before.
Oh, nice.
You get random people in there and show them what the whistle is, and they go grab it without
Yeah.
you stopping them. You're like,
What this thing?
Sorry.
It's
yeah, that's like,
But it
ooh,
is
yeah.
really easy to do and operate, and so we are having fun with it and like showing more people about it, and like want to rotate in even customers or people if they're here at 5 o'clock and they want to come along to go blow the whistle. We want to show them how to do it.
It's
Very
connecting
cool.
history. That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's bringing connectedness to it. That's rad.
Was there one in Astoria?
Yeah, it was at Fort George, and brewers get in trouble all the time because the evening
I
brewers would
couldn't
just like
remember.
leave it for a minute.
Just
Yeah.
go for it. Yeah, I've been trying to keep a 15-second rule in place
There you
in,
go.
in general. You want to go longer on a Friday or whatever.
Is that something I never knew about, and so like hearing about it, I thought it was so cool. So that's why I wanted to ask
Yeah.
about y'all.
Oh yeah, it is a big piece of Olympia history, and
Yeah.
so people have been very excited about the fact that we brought it back. I literally watched friends cry when we did it,
Aw.
and like people saying they cried and how excited they are. And there's literally an Olympia subreddit that is like everybody asking about the Olympia whistle before we brought it back.
Yeah. Oh, there you
So
go.
that
Love
was building the anticipation was really fun and felt really cool and special. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you'll have a beer about it too. Blow
Yeah.
the whistle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
There you go.
it's not just a Too Short song.
Yeah. That's so cool. I love that so much.
Yeah.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you,
I have
y'all-
one. We
you
have
a
one more question. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so y'all are very new, very open, very green. Y'all have a lot of experience though from your past as new owners, operators, openers of business. What's the piece of advice that you would give your younger self at this moment?
You wanna go first, Dave?
I don't know. I feel I always am like my worst critic, and like when it comes to like money and money shame, that's always where my brain goes when I think about the huge responsibility of being prepared to be in charge of other people's livelihoods, including my own. And managing all of that together as a team. And I maybe just wish that I would have like had somebody guide me more or reached out or like gotten more training in just my own
guidance.
personal budgeting maybe.
Yeah.
But
Like a mentor.
yeah, but it really just, I think that all that voice is saying is that I still have like shit to unpack with my own stuff, because the reality is that we're doing it together, and like there's no actual real way to learn those skills without just doing it.
Very true.
And especially coming from a place where I didn't come from affluence, that life was just very different for me, and there's no way that I could have really gotten that same perspective or training or skill, and unless I really sought it out, and that just wasn't my life, and so I can't like have guilt about that or regret about that. But I've like in this process been able to find people to give a lot of support, and like our team in general has been really great about opening up about that and like giving support where it's required.
Nice.
And so yeah, I think there's like a lot of trust building that's been happening, and that feels great. But yeah, I guess it's just like one small little thing, but when I talk myself through it, I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
I also
No,
just
that's good.
hearing your experience and your stories and whatnot. Like I feel like if you wanted to learn something, you sought it out and you like learned it. So it sounds like it's something that for you, like if there's something that you need to learn at the time, like you're going to seek out either people or instruction or learning for yourself to do that. So, I mean, over the course of just, we've been here for what, an hour or so, hearing your story, like this is all I know about you, but like, I'm like, if you needed to learn something, I feel like you you would go seek it out, and you would find places to either learn it or find people to teach you, and you would learn it because you've done so many different things. So
Yeah, I've always been that kind of resourceful person. That's one way in which Pat and I really get each other. We're pretty go-getters.
Yeah. So
and it's hard to practice grace for yourself.
Yeah.
Trust me. Like
Yeah,
that's the
it
biggest thing.
is.
Is like you can. It's always we said this before the podcast. Being like, oh yeah, hindsight is great because you wish you could have told it before the hindsight happened. And so it's like, oh yeah, training that train of thought in your head to be like, oh yeah, no, give yourself grace. Be like, hey dude, at least you learned it. Because there's some people that like don't learn the same lesson for forever. Yeah.
And it's not something you can learn overnight either.
No.
And like there's still a daily, relearning, unlearning, and all those things happening, and you just have to go with it and figure it out and be vulnerable to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And like know your limits and figure them out.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Give yourself
Yeah.
grace. What about you, Pat?
Oh, shit. If I could tell my younger self, maybe get into making beer sooner. I don't know.
We
Okay.
have
Like,
heard that
yeah.
a couple of times. Everyone's been like, just follow that passion a little bit sooner. Yeah.
Well, if you didn't even know it existed, what do you
Yeah.
do, right? Otherwise, what? I mean, what's the yourself? Just keep up with the learning how to communicate well with people thing. Saying the words you mean, being accountable for yourself, holding other people accountable. Just the basic shit that like keeps things going smoothly. Don't keep your temper in. Like let people don't blow up, but like make sure people know what the fuck's going on before you actually get to the point where you're hot. I don't tend to explode, but like I definitely can be like just what the fuck,
Yeah.
Okay, and then it's like more intense, and it needs, it's those kinds of things when it comes down to it. Otherwise, I don't know. I like what I do.
Nice.
Yeah, it sounds like
No,
both
that's
of y'all
perfect.
do,
It's
honestly.
It's real
perfectly
dirty
said.
to say that, isn't it?
Yeah,
No,
no.
that's perfectly said.
My kids are rad. That's right.
Yeah.
No, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I like it too because it's just like having a human aspect, treating people like they're actual people. It's easy to like look at coworkers as just like a facet of your business, and it's like, no, dude, this person has feelings. They go home, they could be struggling with things or whatnot, or maybe having a great day, and then you come and shit on their parade. It's like just be human and be kind about it.
We've really tried hard to do that here, where if you're having a hard time, you can have a hard time, and that there's some capacity for that for you, if that makes sense. But like, it also puts the onus on the other person, other people around you. You need to be able to communicate that because we can't just capacitate unknowns, if that makes sense. Because this is like, I'll say this: anybody doing this kind of shit, this is a high-end game. You need to be able to you need to be able to communicate really fucking well and be on the fucking spot. If you can't do this, don't get into it. If you can do it and you get into it and you need help, make sure to say it. That's all I got. This is completely for everybody, but it does take a lot of trust and communication abilities.
Yeah.
There's a lot online. There's a lot at stake.
Yeah,
and it's
easy,
fucking fun.
It's easy to pass off like stress and how you're feeling onto other people, and not realizing that it's like bogging them down because you're not willing to say like what's actually going on or be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Like this is what I need help on.
It's okay to have a bad time. You just have to be able to communicate that with people and then have a bad time.
There you go.
And like even be upset or have anger about something. Like those are also just like the full scope. And so it's like, you can show up and be angry about something, but like let's talk about it.
Exactly.
Give me a warning first. That's not what I ever ask.
Let me know where I know you're coming at directly. 100%.
I got hugs galore.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, it's that kind of shit. But I think as a group we've been doing it pretty well. We'll talk in 6 months.
Yeah, and then we'll come back. We'll touch base.
Yeah, it does seem like that. Well, we appreciate you all sharing your
thank y'all
story
so
and sitting down.
much.
This has been so much fun.
We're so excited to like hear about how the summer goes for y'all, all the things that y'all talked about, all the beers that are coming out. So we'll be keeping contact with y'all through like Instagram and different things.
Yeah, and if you get a random package from somewhere out east or in the Midwest,
It'll be
it's
from
not
us.
like anything sketchy. It's from us. It's
love
gonna be beer
that.
mail. Yeah. We'll send you a bunch of fun things.
Send drugs.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean beer.
Nah, you didn't hear that, government. We're not sending drugs.
Just beer. Well, can't do that either. Use samples.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
exactly. When I was in Atlanta, they were like, Josh always put it as like for collection only,
Collection.
like not for
It's
drinking.
collectibles.
Yeah, collectibles.
Yeah.
Packaging only.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay, well, we got a plan now. Nobody even knows.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank y'all so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
thanks
luck.
for
Yeah,
having
cheers,
us on
everyone.
here. Yeah.
Yay.
Yay!